You're not ready for what you're about to uncover. Because the question isn't asterisk what happened asterisk. It's asterisk why asterisk it happened. And who was really behind it. From the very first second, our hero, the one we all looked up to, the one who's saved this city more times than we can count, is suddenly the most wanted person in the country. Surveillance footage, news headlines, social media exploding with hashtags like hashtag hero of villain and hashtag thief of the guardian. The world watched as he was dragged into a courtroom, not celebrated, but accused. The hero turned fugitive. And you're probably wondering the same thing everyone else is. Asterisk, did he do it? Asterisk, well, by the time this video ends, you're going to have an answer. And I promise, it's not the one you expect. Before we get into the chaos, take a second and really ask yourself, what would you do if the one person you believed in more than anyone suddenly became the villain in everyone else's eyes? That kind of betrayal isn't just public, it's personal. That's what makes this story hit different. Because it isn't just about powers, masks, or battles in the sky. This story is about trust, manipulation, control. How easy it is to destroy someone's reputation in today's world with a little bit of data, a few doctored images, and a narrative that asterisk feels asterisk true, especially when the media is feeding the fire. This story cuts deep because it speaks to something real in all of us. Our need to believe that good still exists, and our fear that it might not. And I know some of you came here expecting action, explosions, maybe even some secret weapon reveal. Don't worry, it's all here. But what's more important is the asterisk truth asterisk behind all of it. And you're going to want to stay locked in for that. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like the world turned on you for something you didn't do? Maybe not on this scale, but that feeling of being misunderstood, misjudged, erased. That's what this hero is going through, and I want you to feel that with him, not just what should happen. This isn't just his fight, it becomes asterisk ours asterisk. Because as this story unfolds, you'll see that the real enemy isn't just hiding in the shadows. They're working from behind the scenes, pulling the strings, rewriting the story in real time. This video isn't just about watching a superhero try to clear his name. It's about watching a system built to protect us asterisk turn against us asterisk. And if you've ever felt like you couldn't catch a break, like no one was listening, then you're going to understand exactly why this story matters. We're diving into a universe where justice is no longer black and white, where the strongest people can become the most vulnerable, and where even the most trusted icon can be dismantled with a single click. What you're going to see in this video will challenge everything you thought you knew. Not just about heroes, but about truth itself. You'll meet people who smile on camera and stab in secret, allies who hide secrets that could destroy everything, and a villain so carefully camouflaged within the system, you'll question everyone, even the ones you want to root for. But I'm not going to throw out names or spoil their roles just yet, because part of what makes this story so intense is discovering, piece by piece, who's really who. You see, our hero didn't just wake up to this nightmare. He was led asterisk into it. Trapped in a web of precision-designed lies that unfolded step by step, each one drawing him closer to a point where escape seemed impossible. Evidence started surfacing. His powers were blamed for a massive explosion downtown. Lives were lost, and the cameras conveniently captured only asterisk what the public needed to see. No one asked questions. No one waited for explanations. The city, the law, the government, they all moved fast, faster than justice ever should. And suddenly, the person who once flew above the skyline, protecting the innocent, is now hunted like a criminal. And I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone go through so much trouble to frame him asterisk? That's the twist, because taking him down isn't the end goal. It's just the first move in a much larger plan. What's happening here isn't just a smear campaign. It's a warning, a power grab, a reshuffling of everything we thought was stable. And the ones pulling the strings are betting on one thing. that no one will dig deep enough to find the truth. But they didn't count on you watching this video. They didn't count on us putting the pieces together. That's why you need to stick with me. Because as each second ticks by, more clues unfold. And what you learn by the end of this story, it might just change the way you look at everything. If you're still watching, you're already part of the story. You're not just an observer, you're a witness to something huge. This story is trending for a reason, and it's not just because of the headlines or the fan theories. It's because deep down, people want to believe he didn't do it, but they're afraid to be wrong. That's where you come in. If you're the kind of person who needs to know the whole picture, who doesn't just follow the crowd, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you what really happened. I'm going to bring you inside the mind of a man who was betrayed by everything he trusted, and walk you through how he starts to take it all back. Now take a deep breath, because what's coming next, it's not just shocking, it's dangerous, the kind of truth that gets buried. The kind of truth that makes powerful people sweat. We're going behind the headlines, past the smoke and mirrors, into the real story. And just when you think you've figured it all out, boom, something flips. That's how this video is built. To keep you guessing, questioning, doubting everyone and everything. And if you think the worst has already happened, trust me, we're just getting started. So here's the deal. You made it this far, and I see you. You're the kind of viewer who leans in when the plot thickens. So let's make a deal. Don't skip, don't scroll. Because in the next part, I'm going to introduce you to the one person who holds the key to this entire conspiracy. But here's the twist, they are already dead. Now ask yourself, was it an accident, or did someone silence the truth before it could speak? Stay tuned. This is only the beginning. The person who held the key to everything, gone. Officially, it was ruled an accident. Another tragedy in a long list that's plagued the city ever since the incident downtown. But if you paid attention, really paid attention, you'd see the cracks in that version of the story. A security camera just happened to glitch the moment it could record what really happened. A witness who spoke up in the first few hours mysteriously retracted their statement. Even the footage that did exist was strangely low quality, like someone purposely scrambled it before it reached the news. This wasn't coincidence. It was cover-up, and the person who died. They weren't just some nobody. They were one of the only people who knew the hero before the mask, before the fame, before the world started calling him a weapon instead of a savior. They knew who he really was, and maybe more importantly, they knew who wanted him gone. Let's rewind a little, back to the weeks leading up to the explosion. Our hero, still seen as a protector, was starting to notice things, odd patterns, unusual behavior from people inside the agency that once coordinated with him, missions that didn't make sense, orders that contradicted previous intel. At first, he thought it was just bureaucracy, red tape, people in suits trying to flex power they didn't earn. But then came the assignment that changed everything. A covert operation to secure a device rumored to manipulate electromagnetic fields. A weapon that could shut down entire cities without a single bullet. Only, when he got there, the device was already gone, and the place had been cleaned out so well. It was like no one had ever been there. That was his first red flag. The second, the report that went public afterward completely altered the facts. It blamed him for breaching protocol. Said he endangered operatives. That's when he knew someone was rewriting the narrative, and they were starting with him. While the media painted him as reckless and unstable, the city was being primed for something much bigger. Online searches for superhero betrayal, who is the real enemy, and truth about the explosion started trending. Conspiracy channels blew up, some defending him, others tearing him apart. And buried under all the noise were pieces of the truth scattered like breadcrumbs. A lab technician who suddenly transferred across the country, a political aide who vanished without explanation, and a former ally, Someone once considered his brother in arms, going silent and off the grid. These weren't coincidences. They were chess moves. Someone was clearing the board, and as he dug deeper, the hero realized he was playing catch-up in a game he never agreed to play. From the outside, things seemed calm. The city was recovering. Politicians gave hopeful speeches. Law enforcement paraded new tech that promised absolute safety. But behind closed doors, tensions were rising. Underground channels buzzed with talk of a shadow group working inside the government. A group so powerful, they didn't need votes or laws. They only needed silence. And our hero. He was starting to suspect that they didn't just want to discredit him. They wanted to erase him. Not physically. No. That would be too obvious. They wanted to destroy his legacy. Make the world forget he was ever good to begin with. That's when the subplots began to unfold. A young journalist, freshly fired from her job for refusing to alter a report about the explosion, started publishing anonymous blog entries, exposing inconsistencies in the official story. Her posts went viral on Reddit and YouTube, especially the ones highlighting the unusual disappearance of the lead investigator on the case. Meanwhile, a group of cyber activists known only as Delta Ghost began leaking encrypted files, hinting at surveillance documents, and classified communications that mentioned the hero long before the incident even occurred. They showed signs that someone had been building a case against him for months, maybe even years, but the files were incomplete, corrupted or redacted beyond use. Still, they were enough to raise questions, and enough to put those asking them in danger. Back on the streets, the hero had gone dark. With his face plastered across news feeds and digital billboards reading "Wanted," "Dead," or "Alive," he couldn't move openly. Every move he made was calculated. Every ally he contacted had to be sure. Some helped. Most were too scared. But one, a former tech engineer who once designed gear for the city's defense unit, offered him shelter and a way to tap into the very systems being used to track him. That's how he began to uncover a deeper layer of control. Facial recognition scans being manipulated, voice recordings edited, AI models used to mimic his appearance in fabricated evidence. It was no longer a matter of asterisk if asterisk he was being framed. It was how deep the frame job went. Even now, people watching this video might be wondering, why him? Why go to all this trouble? That question doesn't just have one answer. Maybe it's because he knew too much. Maybe it's because he stood in the way of a new world order built on surveillance, fear, and obedience. Or maybe it's because someone somewhere was jealous of the power he represented. Not his strength, but his influence. People asterisk believed asterisk in him. And in a world where attention is currency and loyalty is dangerous, that kind of belief is threatening to the wrong people. So here's where things get even more twisted. The more he tried to clear his name, the more resistance he faced. Not just from those in power, but from regular people too. People who once wore his symbol are now convinced he's the villain. Comment sections filled with hate. Reaction videos breaking down evidence that was never real. Deepfake videos used to justify military action against him. His very existence was being erased in real time, replaced by an image built by fear. And yet, in the middle of it all, there was still one clue, one thing that hadn't been explained. The night of the explosion, an energy surge unlike anything ever recorded was detected in a remote part of the city. It didn't match any known technology, and every record of it was quietly deleted from public databases, except one. A backup, stored on a forgotten drive in an abandoned outpost that only one person knew existed. The person who died at the beginning of this story. That backup may hold the proof he needs, but retrieving it means exposing himself, risking everything. And the people who want him gone are already closing in. They're monitoring every channel, every signal, every digital footprint. The second he resurfaces, they'll come for him, not to question him, but to make sure he never speaks again. The walls are closing in. The choices are narrowing. And the next step he takes will either blow the whole conspiracy wide open or bury the truth forever. But here's the catch. He's not alone anymore. Others are starting to question what they've been told. Whispers are growing louder. Anonymous tips are flooding forums. People are beginning to wonder, asterisk, what if we've been lied to? Asterisk, what if the enemy isn't the man they told us to fear, but the ones hiding in plain sight? The tension is reaching a breaking point, and just when you think the heroes run out of options, a mysterious message appears on his encrypted screen. Just 4 words. Asterisk, they know you're close, asterisk. And that, right there, is where everything changes. Stay with me. It only gets darker from here. That message, they know you're close, hit harder than any punch he'd ever taken. It wasn't just a warning. It was a promise. The kind that sends a chill down your spine, even when you've been hunted for months. He stared at the flickering text on the cracked tablet screen, his mind racing through every scenario, every surveillance feed he might have missed, every transmission that could have leaked his position. And then it hit him. Someone on the inside must have flipped. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was fact. Someone who had been helping him, someone close, had either been turned or was never with him to begin with. Trust, the one thing he'd been holding on to like a lifeline, was now the most dangerous thing of all. And just like that, the game shifted again. The safe house, hidden beneath the ruins of an abandoned subway line, was no longer safe. The air felt heavier. The hum of static monitors was suddenly louder, more threatening. He shut down every open channel, wiped digital traces, burned the drive with his last set of coordinates. The tech engineer, the only ally who still stuck around physically, looked at him with fear. Not of him, but of what was coming. They both knew it. The net was tightening. But what neither of them expected was what happened next. The sky above the city glowed with a strange, pulsating light. Phones lit up. Social media exploded. Alien energy in the sky, supernatural sighting, and hero connection to unexplained phenomenon immediately began trending on YouTube and TikTok. People streamed it live. Comment sections filled up with theories ranging from interdimensional rifts to secret military tech. But those who had been following the story closely, the ones digging through the conspiracy, recognized something far more alarming. The light pattern in the sky matched the exact waveform signature of the energy surge from the night of the explosion. This wasn't just a natural event. It was a message. Someone, or asterisk something asterisk, was trying to speak. The hero's instincts kicked in. That waveform wasn't random. It was identical to the frequency used in the experimental comms protocol designed for non-human contact, one that was buried deep in classified files. Files he once helped protect. Files that were now being activated without authorization. That changed everything. If someone had access to that kind of tech, they weren't just framing him. They were trying to recreate the incident that started it all, maybe even unleash something far worse. He remembered the original project, the warnings from the physicists who walked away in protest, the silence that followed when test subjects went missing. If they were really restarting it, the city wasn't just in danger. The world might be. And somehow, they'd made asterisk him asterisk the face of it. Meanwhile, the journalist, the one leaking truths piece by piece, was abducted mid-live stream. 1 second, she was debunking a government press release with satellite evidence, and the next, her feed cut to black. Her last words, "It's not just a weapon, it's a doorway." That line blew up across every major platform. Hashtags like hashtag doorway theory, hashtag hero frame job, and hashtag what are they hiding started trending overnight. Conspiracy vloggers and tech analysts dissected her final broadcast frame by frame, pointing out symbols in the background, encrypted flashes on her monitors, even the slight flicker in her eyes that looked like Morse code. The community, once divided, started connecting dots, and in the middle of it all, the hero's name resurfaced, not as a villain, but as the only one who might have known what this doorway truly meant. Then came the twist no one saw coming. In a heavily encrypted broadcast that aired for just 13 seconds on a private satellite channel, a voice, faint, distorted, but unmistakably real, spoke directly to him. Not his masked identity, but his real name. A name that hadn't been public in over a decade. A name wiped from databases, sealed by witness protection after the war. "You failed the first time," the voice said. "Don't fail again." That message triggered memories he'd buried. A mission he was never supposed to talk about. A city that vanished off the map. A secret team, codenamed Helix, sent to intercept an anomaly that turned out to be something else. He thought the operation had ended. But this message suggested otherwise. Someone else survived, and they knew everything. Panic turned to purpose. If Helix still existed, and if one of them was trying to contact him now, it meant the stakes were even higher than he feared. But it also meant he wasn't alone, not entirely. Somewhere, a ghost from his past had resurfaced. The question was, were they trying to help or finish what someone else started? He needed answers, and fast. The clues left by the journalist's last livestream hinted at coordinates, but not just any location. An underground research facility thought to be decommissioned years ago. The same facility where the original test of the Doorway project took place. It was off-grid, heavily protected, and according to public records, didn't even exist. But the hero had been there. He remembered the walls that seemed to hum with energy, the data cores sealed behind radiation vaults, and most of all, the chamber, the one that never opened. The city above was now under military lockdown, using the phenomenon in the sky as justification. They said it was for safety, but everyone watching this video knows better. The pattern is obvious. Fear is being used as a tool. The news cycle, the social media noise, even the sudden disappearance of whistleblowers. All signs point to a bigger operation unfolding beneath the surface. And as the hero prepares for what could be his last mission, the pieces start to fall into place. Every lie told, every friend lost, every framed job crafted, it was all leading to this moment. He wasn't just being erased to protect a secret. He was the secret, or at least the key to unlocking it. As he steps into the shadows of the facility's entrance, hidden behind a fake geothermal plant, a final message pings through his device. A message that stops him cold. Not because of what it says, but because of who it's from. The system lists the sender as deceased and the name. The same person who died in the explosion, the same person who was supposed to be gone. The message is brief. 6 words. I saw it. They're not human. And with that, everything you think you knew about this story changes. Don't go anywhere. The truth hasn't even begun to unfold. The door to the facility hissed open with a low, unnatural groan, as if it hadn't been touched in years. The air inside felt thicker, charged with a static that made the hair on his arms stand up. It wasn't just a forgotten lab. This place was alive with secrets. Every step echoed into silence as he made his way deeper, passing rusted signage and shattered glass panels. But as he approached the central chamber, it became clear this wasn't abandoned at all. The lights flickered on, surveillance systems activated, and standing in the center of the room, calm and waiting, was the last person he ever expected to see her. The woman who died in the explosion. The one whose name was on that message. She wasn't a hologram, not an AI echo. She was alive, older, changed, but unmistakably real. And she wasn't alone. Behind her stood 3 others, members of the original Helix team, all thought dead, all erased from every record, and every one of them looked at him not with hostility, but with recognition, relief. He didn't know what to say. Questions spun in his mind, but before he could speak, she raised a hand, and the room dimmed. A holographic projection bloomed from the center of the chamber, showing images and files locked away for over a decade. Alien energy sources, early experiments, the doorway tech, but then came the reveal that hit harder than anything else. The explosion that framed him had been staged by Helix itself, not as a betrayal, but as a contingency. They had discovered something inside the doorway, something intelligent and aware, something that wasn't supposed to exist in our dimension. When the experiments triggered a response, they had one option left: to vanish and take the evidence with them. The explosion was cover. His disgrace was distraction, and his pain a shield against questions they weren't ready to answer. He staggered back as the weight of it all hit him. Years of running, hiding, being hunted, not because he was dangerous, but because he was necessary. They needed him to stay alive. They needed him to stay hidden, because he was the failsafe. His body had been exposed to the raw energy of the doorway long enough to imprint with it, make contact, and survive. The truth was, he wasn't just the key to the mystery. He was the only one who could stop what was coming next. The sky event, the sightings, the energy pulses. It was the doorway trying to reopen. And this time, it wasn't waiting for permission. It was breaking through. With time running out, the Helix team explained their plan. They had reassembled the energy dampeners, recalibrated the resonance fields, but they needed him to enter the chamber again, this time willingly, to close the link from the other side. The idea was suicide. There was no guarantee he'd come back, but as he looked at them, people who had sacrificed everything, he realized what choice he really had. If he didn't go, the city would fall, maybe the world. And more than that, it was time to reclaim his story, not as a fugitive, not as a scapegoat, but as the hero he once promised to be. He entered the chamber with only the memories of his past and the echoes of the pain that shook him. The light was blinding, but he stood tall, and as the energy surged around him, he reached out, not with fear, but with purpose. The doorway responded. He could feel it, like a consciousness brushing against his own. It didn't speak in words, but in emotion, curiosity, caution, recognition. It wasn't evil, it wasn't hostile, it was lost, and it had latched onto the only mind it had ever touched, his. In that moment, he realized the frame-up, the chaos, the cover-up. None of it was about war. It was about fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what we don't understand, but he understood now. And so, he made the choice that only he could make. He didn't fight it. He embraced it. Outside the facility, the sky cleared. The light vanished. The pulses stopped. Across the internet, social feeds exploded with disbelief. Sky anomaly ends. City returns to normal. Was the hero telling the truth all along? Live streams flipped from mockery to memorials. Hashtags like hashtag hero was right, hashtag the truth was buried, and hashtag he savage you soul shot to the top of trending. Even the agency that once chased him issued a public statement, vague and incomplete, but enough to clear his name. The hero was gone, but the world was still standing, and the silence he left behind spoke louder than any words ever could. Then, just as people began to process what happened, a final twist emerged. A video, unlisted, buried deep in an encrypted archive, leaked onto the dark web before hitting the mainstream. It showed the chamber moments after the light disappeared. The monitors flickered back on, and standing inside, where no one should have survived, was him. Not unconscious, not broken, but changed. Eyes glowing faintly, calm, powerful, and smiling. The doorway didn't consume him, it evolved him. What that means, no one truly knows. And maybe that's the point. That sometimes, our greatest trials aren't about destruction. They're about transformation. Not every hero wears a cape. Not every villain has a name. And not every story ends where you think it will. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of inner strength and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never forget your worth.